Grandpa's wife threatened to divorce him over a $12 receipt. Grandpa's wife threatened to divorce him over a $12 receipt. Little Johnny thought she was joking. She wasn't. Grandpa walked into the kitchen holding a Walmart receipt. Linda was sitting at the table. She pointed at him. "Explain this." Grandpa looked at the receipt. "It's $12. I can see that. Then what's the problem? You bought something, and you lied about it." Grandpa frowned. "I didn't lie. I simply forgot. You told me you spent nothing at Walmart." Grandpa nodded. "And technically, I didn't." Linda stared at him. "Then what is this?" She slapped the receipt on the table. Grandpa looked closer. $12.47. He sighed. "Peanuts!" Linda shook her head. "You told me you were only going in for milk." Grandpa shrugged. "The peanuts were an emergency." Little Johnny started laughing. "Grandpa, how are peanuts an emergency?" Grandpa looked serious. "Have you ever watched a football game without snacks?" Linda wasn't laughing. "That's not the point. You've been hiding purchases from me for months." Grandpa's smile disappeared. "What purchases?" Linda pulled out a small envelope. Inside were several receipts. $8.99, $14.50, $11.75, $12.47. Grandpa stared at them. "Those are all mine." "Exactly. You told me you were saving money." "I am." Linda pointed at the receipts. "Then why do you keep buying things you don't tell me about?" Grandpa slowly sat down. "Because every time I tell you, you say I shouldn't have bought it." Linda crossed her arms. "Maybe because you shouldn't." Little Johnny whispered. "This marriage is in trouble." Grandpa nodded. "Apparently my peanuts have become evidence." Linda stood up. "I'm serious, Harold. If you can't be honest about $12, how can I trust you with anything else?" Grandpa looked genuinely confused. "It's not the $12. Then what is it?" Grandpa reached into his pocket and pulled out another receipt. Linda's eyes widened. "What's that?" Grandpa sighed. "The reason I didn't tell you about the $12. Little Johnny leaned forward. "Now this is getting interesting." Linda grabbed the receipt. Her face immediately changed. "Harold, where did you get this?" Grandpa looked at her. "That's what I've been trying to figure out. Because I didn't buy it." Linda stared at the receipt. It was from a store they hadn't visited in 15 years, and the purchase had been made using Linda's credit card. Linda stared at the receipt. "This store closed 15 years ago." Grandpa nodded. "That's why I'm concerned." She turned the receipt over. The card number was hers, but the name on the receipt wasn't. It said, Harold Johnson. Grandpa frowned. "I didn't use your card." Linda looked at him. "Then who did?" Grandpa didn't answer. He picked up his phone and called the bank. The representative checked the transaction. "Mr. Johnson, that purchase wasn't made with your wife's physical card. It was made with a digital card linked to her account." Linda's eyes widened. "I don't have a digital card." The representative paused. "Apparently. Someone created one yesterday?" Grandpa looked at Linda. "Now we're getting somewhere." The bank representative continued. "There's another transaction. Same digital card. Same store. Different amount. $12.47. Grandpa laughed. "So somebody really likes peanuts." Linda didn't laugh. "Harold, look at the date." Grandpa checked. His smile disappeared. "The transaction happened on their wedding anniversary, 15 years ago." Little Johnny blinked. "Wait, that's the same year the store closed." Linda slowly sat down. "Grandpa, we need to talk about that store." Grandpa looked at her. "I was hoping you'd say that." 15 years earlier, the couple had owned a small antique shop. They sold it after a mysterious break-in. The insurance company paid them, and they never discussed it again. Little Johnny looked confused. "What was stolen?" Linda answered quietly. "A wooden box." Grandpa frowned. "Just a box." Linda shook her head. "No, the box contained something valuable." Grandpa looked at her. "You never told me what was inside." Linda stared at him. "Because I thought you already knew." Grandpa's expression changed. "Knew what?" Linda reached into a drawer and pulled out an old photograph. It showed Grandpa standing outside the antique shop, holding the missing wooden box. Little Johnny looked at the photo. "Grandpa, why are you holding it?" Grandpa stared at the picture. "I don't remember this," Linda whispered. "That's why I thought you were lying." Grandpa took the photograph, then noticed something behind him. A man was standing in the shop doorway. His face had been scratched out. Grandpa slowly turned the photograph over. Written on the back were 4 words. "Ask him where it went." Linda looked at Grandpa. "Harold, what happened to that box?" Grandpa stared at the photograph, then quietly said, "I don't know, but somebody clearly thinks I do." Suddenly, someone knocked on the front door. 3 slow knocks. Grandpa looked at Linda. "Nobody visits us this late?" The knocking came again. This time, a voice followed. "Harold, we know you still have it." Grandpa walked toward the front door. Linda grabbed his arm. "Don't open it," Grandpa whispered. "Why?" "Because 15 years ago, someone came looking for that box." The knocking came again. "Harold, we know you're home." Grandpa looked through the window. Nobody was standing outside. Then he noticed something. A small envelope had been pushed underneath the door. Inside was a photograph. It showed the old antique shop on the night it was robbed. Grandpa stared at it. "That's impossible." "Why?" "Because this picture was taken from inside the store." Linda looked closer. Then her face went pale. "There are 3 people in this picture." Grandpa frowned. "Me, you, and—" Linda whispered. "My brother." Grandpa froze. "Your brother died 10 years ago." "Exactly. The photograph had been taken 5 years after the robbery." Little Johnny frowned. "So either Grandpa's wife has a ghost brother, or somebody wants you to think he was alive." Grandpa turned the photograph over. There was an address written on the back. He recognized it immediately. "My old storage unit." Linda stared at him. "You still have a storage unit?" "I canceled it 15 years ago. They drove there with the police." The storage manager checked the records. "Mr. Johnson, you never canceled it." Grandpa stared at him. "What?" "The unit has been paid every month for 15 years. Grandpa frowned. "Who paid for it?" The manager checked the account. "Your wife." Linda's face went white. "I never paid for that." The manager showed her the payment records. The money came from an account in Linda's name. Linda whispered, "I don't have that account." The detective immediately looked at Grandpa. "Then someone has been using her identity." They opened the storage unit. Inside was almost nothing. An old chair, empty boxes, and a broken cash register. Grandpa sighed. 15 years of payments. "For junk?" Little Johnny pointed. "Grandpa, look inside the register." Grandpa opened it. Inside was a small key. A tag hung from it. 1247. Everyone froze. Grandpa stared at the key. "That's the amount from the receipt." The detective turned the key over. 2 words were engraved on the back. "Locker 12." Linda shook her head. "We never had a locker 12. Grandpa smiled. "Maybe we didn't." His phone suddenly rang. It was the bank manager. "Mr. Johnson." We traced the mysterious 1247 purchase. Grandpa listened. "The digital card was created yesterday." "Then who funded it?" The manager hesitated. "The money came from an account opened 15 years ago." Grandpa looked at Linda. "Whose account?" The manager answered. "Your wife's." Linda's face went pale. "But I never opened that account." The manager paused. "There's something else." Grandpa waited. The account holder was declared dead 15 years ago. The detective looked at Linda. "Who died 15 years ago?" Linda slowly shook her head. "I don't know." Grandpa stared at her. "Linda." She looked nervous. "There was one person." "Who?" "My father." Grandpa froze. "Your father died 15 years ago?" Linda nodded. "And he owned the antique shop with us." Little Johnny frowned. "Then why is his account still active?" Nobody answered. The detective checked the bank records. The account wasn't simply active. Someone had made a deposit. Just 2 days earlier, 1247. Grandpa laughed. "There's our peanut money." They followed the trail to locker 12. Inside, they found the missing wooden box. Linda covered her mouth. Grandpa slowly opened it. Inside wasn't money. It was a stack of old photographs, bank records, and one handwritten letter. Grandpa unfolded it. The letter was from Linda's father. It explained everything. 15 years ago, he discovered that someone had been stealing money from the antique shop. He suspected Robert Ellis, so he secretly moved the shop's money into a hidden account. Then he disappeared before he could expose Robert. But there was one thing Grandpa never knew. The wooden box contained proof that Robert had stolen nearly $400,000. Grandpa stared at Linda. "Why didn't your father tell me?" Linda looked down. "Because he didn't trust anyone." Then Grandpa noticed another photograph. It showed Robert standing beside Linda's brother. Little Johnny pointed at it. "Wait, didn't you say Linda's brother died 10 years ago?" Linda nodded. Grandpa looked confused. "Then why is he in a photograph taken 5 years after the robbery?" The detective suddenly smiled. "Because he didn't die 10 years ago." Everyone froze. The death certificate had been fake. Linda's brother had disappeared and changed his identity. The detective traced him through the old bank records. He was still alive, and he had been using Linda's identity to secretly pay for the storage unit. Then came the final twist. The mysterious 1247 receipt wasn't a purchase. It was a message. The amount represented the number of the hidden bank account. 1247. The detective entered the numbers. The account opened. Inside was nearly $420,000, money that had been untouched for 15 years. Grandpa stared at the screen. "So my wife almost divorced me. Over $12? Linda laughed. "I guess I owe you an apology." Grandpa smiled. "That's okay." Little Johnny asked, "What are you going to do with the money?" Grandpa looked at Linda. "First, I'm buying my wife something nice." Linda smiled. "Really?" Grandpa nodded. "A new calculator." Linda frowned. "Why?" Grandpa grinned. "Because apparently $12 just cost us 15 years of trouble